Welcome to the online course on the entrepreneurial mindset. Today, our session will be on effectuation principles. As we know, effectuation is described as something to create a small effect with whatever you have. So, we'll be talking about uh, the five principles of effectuation. The first one is bird in hand. We'll talk in detail today. Affordable loss principle, crazy quilt principle, lemonade principle, and the pilot in the plane principle. So let's start with the bird in hand. So bird in hand means whatever is in your control, whatever is where you own, you access, who you are, my traits and my abilities. So this person is looking in the mirror and who am I? What you know, your knowledge, your certification, your training, your expertise, whom you know, your networks. So we'll be elaborating, and from here we start our journey. So this journey starts with you to understand yourself, to understand your own means, your own resources, your identity, your knowledge and competence, and your networks. So the bird in hand principle lies under the assumption, under the foundations, that everyone is unique. Every human being is unique, idiosyncratic, something very special. And he is not only special, but ever he brings along his memory, his traits, his characteristics are something very special. And over a period of time, there are thousands and thousands of variables which are interacting with him. And due to that interaction, that person comes out to be a very unique person. And using the strategic management concepts of path dependency. So let's take a gentleman was born in a house somewhere, and you see uh, the baby is being influenced by various uh, interventions. First of all, every unique baby has his own unique memory, unique characteristics, habits, traits, and these things which are born with the physical capabilities, the mental capabilities, the articulation capabilities. And then he is influenced by his mom and dad, his brothers and sisters, his family, maternal, paternal relationships, his school fellows, his teachers, his neighbors, and his books and television and radio and the internet. And that leads to the building and development of a very unique person. And as the kid goes to the nursery, to the middle school, to the high school, and to a university, at all of these stages, there are various interventions of teachers and school fellows and class fellows, and books and magazines and exercises and experiments, and the environment, the cultural environment, the government, the country environment, the global environment. So there are a lot of interventions, and at this stage, he he is dependent upon the previous path. At every stage, the person who he is a path dependent of his previous activities. So as time passes on, this person emerges to be, at any point of time, this person, men and women, is something very unique in terms of memory, reflection, writing, habits, traits, characteristics. So that you is being formed. So there, it is such a complex formation that we really need to understand that. If you understand that, then you can really do a lot of things with whatever is in your bird in hand. So in the next stage, let's try to understand that how do we discover our bird in hand. So first of all is to reflect. Reflect on your bird in hand. Who you are, what you know, who you are, and how to reflect. You need to, you see, ponder, reflect, And one way is to be close to nature and living close to nature in a peaceful and a calm environment and try to understand what is happening. Engage yourself in adventure in the natural, you see, environments, living in a jungle and a forest. In Roxanne Conby's case, we saw that Roxanne could not have discovered. She was only able to discover when she was living in the forest that hey, I can live without water, electricity, and tap water and gas, and that made her wander around. And in the forest and the jungle, she met bird. She discovered a stockpile of wax. You see, this living in that certain environment. There were mountains there and a lake there. So that's those environments which are sturdy, which put pressure on you, and then makes you think and act in a certain way, and then you see various opportunities, and that is you discover that you can sew, you can cut, you can do various things. And living in a desert environment, and you learn to do a lot of cycling. One of my German, I teach in a university, and our German secretary, she says that, sir, I'm this year I'll be traveling from bicycling from Munich to Hamburg, and she is the grandmother of more than 60 years. So that gives her energy, observation, enthusiasm, and, and health, and the ability to do bigger tasks. Swimming. Swimming keeps you healthy, it makes you sturdy, it makes you active. Walking. People used to walk hundreds of kilometers, dozens of kilometers. So that is fasting. So you can see the Muslims fasting, and the people, the yoga people are fasting. So they understand their inner strengths. Learning various languages. The more you learn, you the more languages you learn, the more culturally you see active you become. The more network, you can have a bigger network. So the languages enable you to connect more, to know more, to make more friends. So that is, and then you discover that you know a certain language, and that increases your word in hand. So so this is the way to develop your bird in hand, and these activities let you find out who you are. Traveling, a lot of traveling. So we will see in various cases in this course that those people who do interesting activities, they travel a lot. So one of my friend who made an artistic furniture company, and he says he's only class 14 educated, and he gets ideas by traveling, observing, traveling, meeting, listening, and and then to do service, to contribute, to do some social service, to do some community service, and live in less privileged communities for sometimes. And that you will find that how these people are living, their way of living, their way of creativity and innovation. How do they live a simple life, and how do they fulfill their basic needs? So these that make you understand that, oh wow, a small piece of room, small piece of land, a small room, and very less food can even make you survive. And how um, you see it helps you to develop your bird in hand. Do experiments, experimentation in engineering in real life, by walking, by interacting. So do keep on doing experiments, and then we ask people to look at the original scriptures, the monolithic religions. They are recommended to go and refer back to their original scriptures. And for Muslims, we say that we go back and reflect on Quran, and how the Creator has described his the nature. أَفَلَا يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَى الْإِبِلِ كَيْفَ خُلِقَتْ. Have you not seen the camel? So Quran says, have you not seen the camel? So camel is a wonder. Why is it a wonder? You see, it can walk on sand and doesn't get down. You see, and the sand has a special eyelid. The camel has a special eyelid, and when wind blows, the special eyelid, which is transparent, comes down. So it makes you think. It makes you ponder, reflect on natural phenomena. And these natural phenomena makes you cognizant and aware, and you get to know a lot of things, which makes you see how things work and how things can be engaged as a bird in hand. And the life of the prophets, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and other prophets, and Moses and Jesus alayhi salam, their lives are exemplary. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in those days, the kids were sent to live in a desert for 2 3 years, and those were the days of pondering and wandering, and to live with to live with nature. So to live with goats and camels, and the desert and the hot days and the cold nights. So you get exposed to this harsh environment, and your mental and physical development takes place. And praying and dua in Urdu, to praying makes you reflect. Praying gives you energy. Then we say read readings, biographies, so biographies of various, you see, great people can help you get some benchmarks. And some people did wonderful things, walked a lot, talked a lot, did creative things. So they may give you the energy. So history, relevant history, information of geography. Geography can be very, very helpful in terms of bird in hand. And yeah, I know some people who can look into the stars and say, find the directions. Astronomy teaches you humility, how big these galaxies are, and how tiny and how small this Earth is, and how tiny and how small an individual is. So that the more humble you become, the more knowledge flows in, and your bird in hand goes up. Basic information about general science like physics, chemistry, and biology helps you to understand the basic various phenomena in nature. And you how to use liver, how to understand the various chemical and biological and physical phenomena can help you to engage and use those phenomena in your projects, in your entrepreneurial ventures. And for people living in Pakistan and related to Urdu, we will recommend them to read the poetry of Iqbal. Mr. Dr. Iqbal, who did his PhD, his education from Germany and the UK, invokes a lot of thinking. And then you need to reflect and write your experiences. So these are some of the activities, if you engage in, that makes you to develop and discover your bird in hand. So it's a lifelong learning. It's a lifelong activity, right from your childhood to your old age and death, before death. So one has to engage and keep on discovering. And human beings are so complex, and they're so interesting, and they're so infinite in terms of potential, that you can keep on developing your bird in hand as long as you live. So this bird in hand principle is very fundamental in pursuing entrepreneurial ventures. So we'll going into a bit detail. Who am I? So we have just collected some variables out of thousands and thousands. These are some of those qualities which are which can help you to do interesting things. Friendly, forgiving, generous, honest, loyal, devoted, loving, kind, faithful, patience, artistic, spiritual, dominant. Some of them can be a bit aggressive, like dominant, but once again, it depends. The context: fair, confident, tolerant, creative, decisive, charismatic, bold, persuasive, adventurous, cooperative, persistence, self controlled, ambitious, enthusiast, proactive, playful. Who am I? Caring, funny, to be full of jokes, enables you to make good friends. So that is a bird in hand. Extrovert, smart, restless, lively, reliable, brave, introverts. So these are various: conservative, writer, independent, courageous, Who am I? It's good to be followers sometimes. Sometimes you have to follow. Sometimes you have to lead. Sometimes you have to listen. You have to follow the line. Open minded, traveler, listener, reader, observer, outgoing. And these are task oriented, people oriented, inspirational. So look at the variables inside us. So we need to know and reflect. Who am I? Who am I? And the next is what I know. What is my knowledge? What is this? What sort of certificate? What sort of degree, knowledge, certification of my knowledge? Which I have bachelor's, diploma, certified trainer, programmer, speaker, chef, and look, skill oriented teacher, swimmer, librarian. These are those things which you can obtain a certificate. Karate, electrician, doctor, engineer, and so on. Who I know, my network. So my network, my parents, my siblings, spouse, cousin, uncle, in-laws, friends, schoolmates, college, university mates, teachers, alumni, mentors, neighbors. So these are the things which need to be. So we were just reflecting and make you reflect. This is what everybody has to be engaged in to develop that network. Not to be, we're not developing this network because we are selfish, we want to get things done. No, it's we're part of that ecosystem which wants to help others. So you can have a good intention that I'm doing all this so that I can serve and I can contribute. And I would like to make friends because I would like to I would like to get their consultation in meaningful and noble projects. So this is the bird in hand inventory, which makes you think. To summarize, what is my values? Integrity, honesty, commitment, time, punctuality, meaning, purpose in life, tastes and preferences, taste in colors and food and likings, dislikings, hobbies, what you do in free time, passion, what which you do in any case. You can't live without that. Interest, somewhat similar. What do you know? Your prior education, your school, college, professional degree. What did you learn from your job? You did got engineering from the university, but during the job you learned a special technique. You learned vibration analysis. So that is your learning from the job. Your persuasive skills. You got a certificate and knowledge from your life activities. You went to you went through an experiment, and that experiment made you learn. Informal learning, informal friends, informal teachers. So your learnings from those experiences. Whom do you know? Rolodex. Rolodex is a box which keeps your visiting cards of your friends or network which you receive. So your Rolodex, your network. What is your network? People on your Facebook, on your WhatsApp groups and LinkedIn groups, and your family, paternal, maternal, in-laws, and your classmates, alumni, serendipitous encounters. You met somebody on the airplane, out at the airport, at the university, at the library, and the meeting turned into friendship, and that friendship into consulting and discussions and new opportunities. So this is your inventory which needs to be maintained. And we need to be continuously updating. And whenever we go and find an idea, we need to go back to the inventory and try to look at your own bird in hand. So once you identify your bird in hand, then you can start exploring ideas. So effectuation theory says that ideas uh, come out of your bird in hand in many ways, and ideas can be created or identified. So created means idea was not there and it originated. Identified means the idea was already there and somebody spotted, hey, let's do that. So the idea is, in a way, the ideas are transformation of the means one already has. So to transform the means. So how do you do that? So this theory says that what happens is that uh, there are many dozens and dozens of, you see, uh, these small ideas or big ideas. There are as many ideas as many people. That is called anything. So what makes it an idea is when anything and any sort of idea is integrated with the you. Who is you? You is the person who was born special, who is idiosyncratic, and over a period of time, a lot of interventions and that path dependency took place due to various paths. If you look back, the various paths intervened, and that made that person a special person. He can see different, he can write different, he can observe different. He has very unique ideas. When that uniqueness is combined with anything, we call it the idea. So, and let's give me an example. One of our student female entrepreneur, Sukaina. Her husband went through an accident. He had to be hospitalized, and he was asked to stay at home. So the wife came out to do something, and she started looking at what can be done. So if you look at, she saw many ideas, clothing and jewelry and so on and so forth, and she looked at herself. She found out and discovered that she loved jewelry. She was passionate about jewelry designs, and she found out that her father-in-law was an expert in gemology, in gems, and she found out that there was a family friend who was very good in calligraphy, and then she found out that she had an access to jeweler who can do something about silver based jewelry. So so she found out her bird in hand, who you are, what you know, and whom you know. So this bird in hand made her reflect, and that individuality, when integrated with the idea, then the real idea was born. So when does the idea transform into an opportunity? The idea transforms into an opportunity when the idea integrates with an action. So what happened was, it is an action that turns an idea into a valuable opportunity. So when Sukaina talked to her father-in-law and he gave some suggestions, and when she talked to the calligrapher and requested him to write something for her in his special font, and then action came in. Then she asked her family jeweler to do make something, and he made it, and that was action. So action is beyond talking and beyond doing calculations on the paper. Action is engaging to invoke transformation. So what happened was, it is a function of action is a function of interaction in terms of money, in terms of product, partners. So when Sukana did that, idea into action, that became turns into opportunity. So an opportunity is something which can lead to some money. Opportunity is something which can give you some financial returns, which will bring some customers to you, which is you see, which will earn you something. And when does this opportunity transform into a viable venture? A sustainable venture comes into being when the opportunity is reinforced with commitment. So when Sukaina showed her full commitment, perseverance, she kept on making designs and designs, rechanging, redefining, and iterations, over iterations, and convincing her neighbors and neighbors, family and family friends and family friends. She was able to find more customers, more designs, Facebook customers, social media interventions, and exhibitions, and that turned into a viable venture. So this is the idea generation phase, and you saw the intervention of the bird in hand. And we hope that this turns out to be a useful session for you. And we will be once again summarizing that idea is anything plus you. An opportunity is idea transformed into an opportunity only when an action is added, it becomes a viable venture only when commitment is added into opportunity. So these are interesting things. You, then action, and then commitment. The YAC. These are very important things. When they add on, that's transform and create something very interesting. So there are as many viable ventures, as many there are people, there are as many opportunities. So we are special people. So let's hope that this session turns out to be something of interest and value to you. Thank you very much. Looking forward